and gentlemen, from the European Network Against Racism, please welcome Sarah Chander.
Hi. Are you having a good time? That's wonderful, because I'm going to give you a 5-minute speech about racism. But only 5 minutes, don't worry. We face the climate today where there seems to be really no end to the issues that we have to tackle. Sometimes that can feel a little bit overwhelming. But I'm really excited to be with you here today to talk about how we can interconnect our movements and our struggles and work together to make a better Europe. I don't think I have to explain to you that when it comes to racism in Europe, things are not getting better. In the last 5 years, personally, I have seen politicians from all across the political spectrum retreat into a politics of fear, abandoning the cause of people of color and of migrants in pursuit of votes. Yet, being a person of color or a migrant in Europe today means that you are more likely to be attacked on the streets. It means you are more likely to be unemployed. It means you are less likely to earn a living wage. It also means that you are less likely to see yourself in politics, to look like the politicians all around you. It means that you are less likely to have high-quality healthcare and housing. And for some, it means that you're not really considered to be a European. Still in Europe today, Muslim women are being turned away from jobs because of them wearing a headscarf. Still today, in 2019, we can hear some politicians on the right calling for cleansing of the streets of Roma. And still today, in 2019, closer to the political center, we hear that migrants pose a threat to the values, the safety, and the security of Europe, when in fact we all know the opposite is true. These problems are not at all separate to the climate crisis. Working class and people of color are some of the most likely to live in highly polluted areas. Across the world, those most affected by climate change are from the global south. They are working class and they are women. But when they move, they are met with borders, they are met with racist politicians, and they are met with an EU migration structure which is focused on control, criminalization, and keeping people out. What can you all in this room do today? I believe it is really not enough to stand back and to say, we are not the racist ones, we are not the ones scapegoating migrants. What I can say after 3 years of advocating against racism in the European political sphere is that the danger of the far right is not just about how many seats they get in the European Parliament, but it's about the effects of their narrative on the politics of the entire House and of the entire Europe. Going forward, we cannot just be about not discriminating. We must take the active responsibility as political movements to dismantle structural inequalities. I think that one of the most beautiful slogans that ever came out of a political movement is people and planet before profits. However, it is time for us to decide which people do we mean by that. Who are the people that we stand for? There are at least 50 million people of color in Europe today, and currently there is no single political movement that has decided to represent us unconditionally. That party could be the Greens. Currently, there is only one black woman elected in the European Parliament. One. She's not a Green. Just 2% of the MEPs were people of color. Also, regardless of race, we had very few MEPs who were willing to take a stance against racism. As the far right gets stronger, we really need to do much, much better than that. And we are already moving. The movements of young people on the streets in the climate march are truly inspiring to see. But we do not have the luxury to treat racism as a side issue. Ahead of the European Parliament elections in May, it needs to become clear that it is green to break down inequalities. It is green to fight for the rights of women, of queer people, and of those with disabilities. And it is green to welcome migrants with open arms. In terms of policies, that means ending the criminalization of migration. It means putting in place proactive policies to end discrimination. And it means that our politicians need to ensure access to housing, to healthcare, to employment, and to education for all, regardless of race. For politicians, we need you to make a clear statement that being green is being anti-racist. Climate change, racism, misogyny, homophobia, neoliberal trade, austerity, they are all part of the same system, and our movements need each other. To the candidates, I hope to say that I hope when you are elected to the European Parliament, you make it a priority to tackle racism. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks a lot.